There he is. There we go. It's the same every time. I had to tear it apart, and I forgot to turn on freaking Phantom Power. You know.
Yeah.
It's always the Phantom Power inside your mind.
So I was telling Ryan.
That's me.
That's him. We've got Green Day
Ron.
tonight. Is this already off the rails?
We're
fucking started,
freezing.
dude.
We're all in flannel tonight.
I know, right? Yeah, it is cold AF down here. I just turned my heater on. I'll have to turn it off when we start actually doing this for real. So we've got tonight Green Day. We've got next recording would be the Eva Cassidy Songbird, and then it's bracket time, guys. So get your picks ready.
Oh, I'm so glad I'll be able to imbibe for bracket time.
Because we'll be into February then. Okay.
2 days left, man.
That's right.
100.
I'm Bert.
I'm Drew.
I'm Ron.
I'm Ryan.
And this is the 100 Albums Podcast, where we discuss the ins, the outs, and the absurdities of a poster that depicts 100 seemingly random albums. So here we are at album number 59, approaching the end of the season here as we continue going through the 100 albums that appear on a poster that Drew got a couple of years ago from his wife, Lisa. We first went through the entire poster, listened to each album, and then after each listen, shared our thoughts and reactions with each other via video chat. Once we were all done with the whole poster, we thought it might be a fun project to turn into a podcast. So let's get into this week's album, American Idiot by Green Day. Vibe check, fellas. What are your first impressions?
It's like Green Day, but 20 years later. I know, I know that's the most simplistic thing ever, but I mean, Green Day has a sound, and I started off listening to 1001 Smoothed Out Slappy Hours, Kerplunk. You know, I came in early on them, and then I trailed off, and I was pleasantly surprised by this. It brought back some old Green Day memories, kind of nostalgic. It's just an extension. It's them getting older, more mature, and wiser.
Yeah, I mean, I know we listened to this technically before, but I don't think I really listened to it. There was, just compared to how I heard it this time, I think I was still so saturated in my brain from Green Day just being so present that I I didn't give the time. But this week I felt like I'm listening to it fresh, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, same here. I really skimmed over it the first time, and I was, due to my own lack of listening ahead of time, I kind of started skimming it this time. But then I was thinking, I need material for this podcast, and I dug in and found a new liking for it. So I went back and re-listened, and we'll talk about that. But the vibe here, I got off into a non-vibe trail. So this Green Day reminds me of, I loved Dookie when it came out. We were like seniors, juniors in high school, whatever. My band played every single song on the album. I loved every minute of it. They win in originality. Nobody sounds like Green Day. Green Day sounds like Green Day all the time. So there's that. But it reminds me of how ska is just ska. Like there's a place for it and whatever.
When I wake up tomorrow, you still feel the same. When I wake up tomorrow, you have changed, 'cause I still feel the same. 'Cause I still feel the same.
And I feel like Green Day is that kind of band. They kind of have their own genre. Nothing's bad about it. But like when they say, and this is not meant, Bert, I know you're a big ska fan, but when I've seen this meme that says, ska is like like a sixth grader that gets a plate full of cheese sticks or something like that. Yep. And that's what's going on in his head. Yep. And it's a cool description of just happiness. There's nothing wrong with anything, like just pure elation. Yep. And I get that feeling with Green Day. And they've got some heavy material on this lyrically. and yet it's delivered in this really kind of pleasant, cheery format. That's that totally I didn't hear through to the lyrics on the first few times through. So, but that's great.
So my vibe is 4 words. Vaguely aware of it. That's my vibe for this album. Vaguely
of the vibe
aware
or
of
of
it.
the album.
Well, just my relationship with this album, right?
Yeah.
So Drew, you mentioned Dookie. That is my knowledge, my extent of the Green Day catalog for the most part, and we'll talk more about
Like even the hits,
like
just total.
So that's why I'm saying vaguely aware of it. So by 2004, when this album came out, I had moved on from like pop punk and ska and some of those things, right? But we'll dive a little bit more deeply into kind of that all as we get down the later on in the rundown here. So. Okay, hey, let's talk about the background here of Green Day. Formed in 1987 in the East Bay punk scene in the San Francisco area. School friends Billy Joe Armstrong on vocals and guitar and Mike Dirnt on bass began playing music together. Drummer Trey Cool joined the band in 1990. They cut their teeth in the punk world, especially around the iconic 924 Gilman Street Club, a.k.a. Gilman, blending fast, simple punk with catchy melodies. For more on Gilman and the East Bay punk scene, I highly recommend the 2017 documentary, Turn It Around, the story of East Bay punk, narrated by Iggy Pop and executive produced by Green Day. Their early albums, 39 Smooth in 1990 and Kerplunk in 1991, laid the foundation for that kind of that punk scene in the East Bay area. In 1994, Green Day broke into the mainstream consciousness with Dookie, their first major label release, married pop-influenced melodies with punk energy and helped define the 90s pop-punk scene. Hits from that album that everybody knows were Basket Case.
It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Am I just stuck? I went to a shrink to analyze my dreams.
Longview.
I'm sick of all the same old shit. In the house with unlocked doors and I'm fucking lazy. Bite my lip and close my eyes. Take me away to paradise. I'm done and bored, I'm going.
When I Come Around.
No time that turns the world around. 'Cause you know where I'll be found when I come around.
And Welcome to Paradise.
My streets and the broken arms. Some call it sun, some call it nights. I wanna take you away, slay a light, take on my own. Welcome to paradise.
As well as others. It's also worth noting that the Bay Area punk scene ostracized Green Day for, quote, selling out and going mainstream. Green Day was banned from Gilman, citing their no major labels policy. They didn't allow acts that were on major labels. Later 90s albums explored heavier and more varied sounds, but didn't match Dookie's cultural impact or success. Insomniac, that was the album that followed Dookie. Brain Stew was the big hit from that album.
My eyes feel like they're gonna bleed. Right up and bulging down my skull.
And I wanted to make an aside here, guys. The uncanny resemblance between Brain Stew and 25 or 6 to 4, I think, cannot be ignored. I just wanted to say that.
Waiting for the break of day.
Foul
Yeah,
Out.
I've always meant to make a list of songs that have that
That have
round
that
bassy,
progression, right?
descending
Yeah,
bass
yeah,
line.
yeah. Then came Nimrod, which included Nice Guys Finished Last.
Nice guys finish last. You're running out of gas. Your sympathy will get
And the ubiquitous Good Riddance, Time of Your Life.
tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Appears at every high school graduation and prom and formal high school dances.
What I remember most about that song is it being played at the closing ceremonies, if you will, of the MTV Spring Break Beach House.
Oh my god!
Oh, dude.
And I had already at that point signed out on Green Day, and when I heard it on that, I was like, now I'm even further divorced from caring about you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a sad result of a decent song that it just gets misused over and over again for, possibly unlateral.
I would even say abused.
Yes,
Not
yes,
just misused,
yeah.
but abused.
Definitely.
But the other thing is too, like every dude bro on a college campus with an acoustic guitar knows
That's
song.
what killed
You
me
know?
with it was everyone who picked
Right.
up a fucking guitar played that. It was like, I hear it enough. You want to shut the fuck up? But
It's not the song's fault, man.
Right.
You know?
Oh no!
But it could have been played on the beach in the movie Barbie. So
Yeah, I had to perform it at graduation the first year I taught. They asked. I didn't have to. The kids asked me to. And,
well, at least the kids asked you to. That's
But this was when did we graduate? It was 01, I guess. So it was pretty hot then still.
okay. Yeah,
But it
that
was.
would've been, like,
It was
great.
being used for every friggin' goodbye in history.
Yeah. And then Warning came out in 2000, which showed more of a folk edge to their pop punk direction, but it underperformed commercially, and the hit from that album was Warning.
What it means to me, keep out of reach of children. Don't you talk to stranger, get your philosophy from a bumper sticker. Warning, live without warning.
So that brings us to talking about American Idiot. By the early 2000s, Green Day had begun working on a follow-up to Warning, tentatively titled Cigarettes and Valentines. That project was completed but ultimately scrapped after the master recordings were stolen. A setback that pushed the band toward a different idea. Rather than re-record the material for Cigarettes and Valentines, the trio restarted with fresh songs, and that quickly coalesced into a concept album. Inspired by the political climate of post-9/11 America, the Iraq War, and widespread media saturation, the band aimed to make something bigger than a collection of singles. They wanted a story-driven rock opera. And if this concept intrigues you, please go back and listen to our episode when we talked about The Who's Quadrophenia. So key themes and narratives from the album, disillusionment and rebellion. The imagined anti-hero, Jesus of Suburbia, embodies a disaffected youth rejecting suburban stasis. There's political critique. The title track and songs like Holiday.
I've been too dramatic, far from all rise. This is the dawning of the rest of our lives on holiday.
Attack media conformity, war, and blind nationalism. And there are also personal elements. Tracks such as Wake Me Up When September Ends incorporate a deeply personal theme.
Like my father's come to pass, 7 years has gone so fast. Wake me up when September ends.
For example, Billy Joe Armstrong's reflections on his father's death. Billy Joe wrote heavily during a period in Manhattan's East Village, where solo walks and late-night jam sessions helped shape key songs, including Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Don't know where it goes, but it's only me and I walk along. I walk this empty street on the Boulevard of Broken Dreams, where the city sleeps and
The band also developed ambitious multi-part suites like Homecoming and Jesus of Suburbia by trading short musical ideas and stitching them into extended movements, an approach far outside their earlier and most, well-known 2-minute punk structures. In the pre-production, the band rehearsed and demoed extensively before entering formal studio sessions, ensuring the album was fully written and sequenced ahead of its tracking. Long debates and musical competitions between the members led to creative breakthroughs, especially in assembling extended songs from shorter, smaller ideas. In the studio, recording sessions began at Studio 880 in Oakland and then moved to Ocean Way Recording and Capitol Studios in Hollywood. They used producer Rob Cavallo, who's a longtime collaborator. He worked with them on Dookie and Insomniac. He embraced the ambitious concept, encouraging the narrative scope and helping shape the album's arc. In the recording techniques, they laid down drums on 2-inch tape to add punch, and then transferred to Pro Tools. Songs were tracked in sequence, which was unusual for the band. Guitar and bass tracking order was inspired by Beatles recording approaches. Days were long and intense in the studio, and the band focused single-mindedly on recording while living out of a Hollywood hotel for months. So the album spawned multiple hit singles. The title track, American Idiot,
don't wanna be an American idiot. Don't want a nation under the new media. Hey, can you hear the sound of hysteria? The subliminal mindfuck America.
Boulevard of Broken Dreams, Holiday, and Wake Me Up When September Ends. These tracks broadened Green Day's mainstream reach while keeping that punk energy intact. The album was released on September 21st, 2004, and it debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart, becoming Green Day's first chart-topping album. It won the Grammy Award for Best Rock Album amongst its 7 nominations that year at the Grammys. Just for context, Best Rock Album nominees that year were The Delivery Man by Elvis, Costello, and the Imposters.
Way, he feels like Jesus. Everyone dreams of him just as they can, but it's only the humble delivering man.
The Reason by Hoobastank.
A reason to start over new, and the reason is you.
You guys remember Hoobastank? Where'd they go?
They have the best name ever, and
they
I
did have a
like
pretty good name.
nothing
That's a pretty
but,
good band name.
but their
And
name.
the reason is
Contraband
song.
by Velvet Revolver.
Always feel like she's running on a hamster wheel, getting high, crashing cars and making mistakes, keeping her face packed with cocaine. Her face is numb, your faith is
And Velvet Revolver, correct me if I'm wrong here, wasn't that
Slash.
It was Guns N' Roses and Scott Weiland.
It was Scott Weiland and Slash, right? Yeah. And then last was Hot Fuss by The Killers. And American Idiot won in that category.
Wow.
2 decades on, the themes of media skepticism, youth frustration, and political critique continue to be referenced, including in recent performances where Green Day occasionally alters lyrics to comment on more contemporary issues. So, in terms of album sales, this is their second highest selling album, top 5 for Green Day. Nimrod from 1997, 3 million albums. Insomniac from 1995, 3.2 million albums. International Super Hits from 2001 was 3.7 million. American Idiot, this album, 12.5 million records sold. And Dookie from 1994 has sold more than 20 million albums worldwide. I mentioned this album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart. It spent 145 weeks on that chart, which is pretty awesome. Top 5 Green Day albums for the chart: Insomniac peaked at number 2, was on the chart for 40 weeks. Uno peaked at number 2, was on the chart for 16 weeks. 21st Century Breakdown went to number 1, and it was on the album for 38 weeks, or on the chart rather, for 38 weeks. Revolution Radio peaked at number 1, was on the chart for 15 weeks, and then American Idiot debuted at number 1, was there for 3 weeks, and was on the chart for a total of 145 weeks. So that's my rundown, my research, guys. What else? I know there's a ton of stuff to talk about with this album, especially the lyrical content and themes that are contained herein. So what else you got?
Let me just say real quick before Ryan, you say this. I just wanted to point out 10 years between Dookie and this album. Also, the very large advent of the downloading. And so this album did so much, got so many awards, and I'm thinking, should it have ranked better than Green Basket Case? Could it be because everybody downloaded it rather than bought it? But I would just point, I was wondering about when you said that.
I mean, it could be, but it's still sold 12.5 million albums. So like that's
Well, what was the album before this one, Bert? Nimrod, right?
No, it was Warning.
Yeah. All right. So that one got leaked to the internet 2 weeks before, and that was one of the suspect reasons why it didn't sell. Yeah, they went folksy and all that stuff, but it was also leaked.
Yeah.
So Ryan, go ahead, man, and then I got a couple points too.
Sure. No, I was just going to say, in the things I was reading about their international super hits album, they themselves, I think, were incredulous about it because they said that it was basically a sign of a midlife crisis for a band to do that. But one of the things I thought was really interesting is it seems like in a lot of ways American Idiot saved the band, because from what I was reading, they, especially after Warning, they were even thinking about breaking up. You know, they were infighting, they were having a hard time communicating. Mike and Trey weren't feeling like they were being listened to and contributing. Billy felt like he couldn't contribute because he felt like no one wanted to hear any more of his stuff, and they had to like have a real sit down. And the Stolen album, I think, probably saved them first, but then they realized that they liked being together and came up with this bigger concept. I looked at the list of things that they quoted as saying they listened to help them write a punk rock opera. I think some of it is suspect. Yes, I believe they listened to The Who's Quadrophenia, especially because there's some themes here that tie in. Musically very different, obviously. They said they listened to The Wall but didn't quite feel the vibe. I probably identify that that's true. They had a list of musicals that they said they had on rotation, which I found very suspicious because like one of them was West Side Story, and I'm thinking there's no correlation.
Come on, Bernstein. What's up?
But I will say it's a very ambitious record, so maybe that just pushed their creative thinking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was going to say was, I saw a lot of the same thing. One of the ones that stuck out was they listened to polka and, like incorporated that into some of their stuff. And it was like, I can't hear it, but at the same time, they were trying to incorporate things and listening to things outside the wheelhouse other than, the Dead Kennedys, the Circle Jerks, whatever. And so it was kind of like, hey, we're going to listen to this shit. And it may not have come out directly into music, but they were looking to stretch. I was going to talk about, them damn near breaking up. And one thing that I read in several articles was they decided to not be what was expected of Green Day and decided to just own up to the fact that they're rock stars and they need to enjoy it. And so vocal sessions were scheduled around Billy Joe's hangovers. All of them partied a lot. And so it was just kind of like, all right, we're here. We need to enjoy it and either not feel guilty or, whatever they were going through, they decided to own up to it. And it was, I want to say the producer Cavallo, who was like, look, make something big. And this was the album that they were like, we're going to take the leap, no matter what.
Yeah.
And once they did that, they got a lot of strength out of that and just came out strong. And from there, artistically decided, fuck it, we're going to do what we want. So this album was huge for them in their career.
Yeah.
I will say, in terms of like the, finding inspiration to push you on, yes, I feel like that is important, but I'm always reminded of Mitch Hedberg, and he said, I like when they say a movie is inspired by a true story. Like, hey, Mitch, did you hear the story about the lady who drove her children into the river and they all drowned? Yes, I did, and it inspired me to write a movie about a gorilla. It's inspired by don't mean shit.
I can speak to this a little bit because once I realized, I got to tell you guys, and maybe I'm not alone, who knows, but I didn't know this was a punk opera. I didn't know it was. It's a musical now. I didn't even know it was on Broadway.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that.
Had no idea, and so
that's how you know punk has made it.
Right,
it's on Broadway.
Shit. And when I realized this,
oh, God.
I said, man, because I really, on a listen through, I just, halfway through, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of done with this. It just doesn't last for me musically. And I'm not going to try to say it does. But when I realized this, I went back in, started going song for song, looking at the lyrics and fleshing out the storyline. We can get into details later. But this is when I said, oh my God. And now I'm thinking this is very much, inspired by the ideas that would have inspired a story like Quadrophenia. I also felt that I was seeing some moments once I'm drawing this storyline out. I'm seeing moments that reminded me of The Wall, in their storytelling, not in their lyrics, not in the music. I'm just saying, like in the exposition of characters. And so I think this is where I really heard Quadrophenia was in the song Homecoming. Because they have these, and Ryan, I didn't even know when we were sending back and forth some playlists, trying to decide to listeners here about what we're listening to. Because there's one list that says 13 songs, there's one that says like 50 songs, or not. That's not the number, but because they divided these songs into movements. And the movement is roughly a verse or two, maybe a verse and a chorus. That's when I'm hearing The Who, because The Who, man, if you listen, or Tommy, a totally different storyline, but you hear a 5-minute section of music, and you're gonna have heard 7 different characters in a different point of view coming all at you all at once. And I feel like Homecoming acts like that. So maybe the inspiration is more, how would I go about writing a concept album? How would I go about addressing this magnitude of issues in a short period of time? Oh, they just squished it into a song. That's how I feel Homecoming does. I mean, it's a good wrap up, but
unlike The Who, Green Day didn't have the repetition of chords, of themes.
Oh, no, not at all.
Pick up on that as much, because like Tommy is the same 3 chords the whole fucking thing, and it's a theme that just goes through. I didn't pick up on that with this, and I kind of like this better.
That's why I debate the use of the word opera with it, but whatever.
Well, one of the things I think they're doing is, in terms of trying to change the way the pacing of the album works, even songs like Holiday and Boulevard of Broken Dreams, which are both hits, if you listen to them on the album, there's no break between the songs.
Yeah.
They go straight together, as though they're all one song. And if you're designing something for radio play, that's That's a hard choice. So clearly that's an
and that
intentional
goes-
way to keep the drama moving.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
goes back to the note that I had there about how they were creating the songs and they had everything all laid out before they recorded it, right? Whereas most other artists, like, you record song by song by song, and then you figure out what the programming is of the record kind of in totality. They had that all mapped out before they even were recording the songs, and I think that speaks to that, Ryan. They planned that these songs were going to run into each other because it's kind of one theme connecting the two or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, and on my recording, they were listed as one. It was Holiday / Boulevard Brooklyn.
Same.
As well as Are We There Waiting / St. Jimmy. And when I did my story development outline here, I saw why. Because they are two parts of the same happening in the storyline.
And I'm wondering,
It's a cause and effect kind of thing each time.
I'm wondering if part of that comes from the experience of 10 years of playing live concerts, because as you all know, controlling the drama in a live concert, you want to leave time for applause, but you also want to sometimes just drive straight into the next song with a small transition.
Yeah.
And it keeps the energy high, allows you to finish some of the hits sooner.
Yeah, right.
What's interesting,
You want to get good riddance out of the way, you know what I mean?
did they not release those separately on radio cuts? I mean,
They did.
I didn't, yeah. So they just cut them up for the radio edits.
Yeah, and probably just put a little bit of fade in and fade out,
Yeah.
See, now if they were Pink Floyd, they would have listed all 35 of these separate tracks so they could get royalty spikes on each. That was Pink Floyd's train of thought,
Yeah.
because they only made 2 songs on certain records.
Yeah.
Had to cut it up.
Did you guys see where they had a pirate radio station when they were recording this?
No.
I did.
Yeah,
And they're getting feedback live.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Crank calls, like made up bands, extended jam sessions. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
there was some cool shit, and it was like, man, to have been in the know and, experiencing all that, I think would have been really cool. The recording of and the gear on this, I found kind of interesting. They spread out, like Billy Joe's pretty famous for his blue Fernandez Strat, the one his grandmother gave him, big long story. On this one, I am so jealous of his gear because it's 2 Marshalls that are modded. They are named Pete and Meat. And the nicest Les Paul Jr. I mean, it's like one of my dream guitars. Les Paul's, all Gibson shit. Mike Dirnt is they're all gearheads. Trey Cool has an entire warehouse with like 100 drum sets. He can't even say how many snare drums he owns. And he goes to like nerd level on drum gear. And then Mike Dirnt does the same thing. Like, you would think for punk, it's like, fuck it, give me a bass and I'm going to go. No, dude has like, I think it took him 2 or 3 years to get his signature model together because he went back and forth on like tuners and this and that and everything else. Along that line, Bert, I did pull this piece of information out for you. This is from a Guitar World article he did about his gear. The Epiphone G3 is sort of shaped like my Millennium Falcon. I have the Star Wars birthday, May 4th, as in May the 4th be with you. I'm a Star Wars kid. My old G3, I played 700 something shows on my bass years ago. You look up any old picture of me traveling the world, and it's always that bass.
That's awesome.
I know, right?
That
Like,
is
I saw
so
that, and I'm
cool.
like, Bert's gonna love that.
Yeah.
So I listened to isolated bass tracks, and isolated and how you hear it in the mix is really different. Like, isolated, it's real punchy. During the mix, it occupies a lot more space. So that was kind of a neat rabbit hole to go down. But I had no idea. Like, I knew Billy Joel was, kind of persnickety about his, his gear. But these guys like go nerd level, and it was really cool to see. Through the research, I have really discovered that these guys are pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the gearhead part of Trey Cool. I didn't know that, but he was one of the more ear-opening parts of my week listening to this. I feel like he's not just played straight ahead punk rock. He's got some pretty clever crap happening, and that's not a fault of punk. Usually, the gig for a punk drummer is a little bit more functional, I guess.
This is part of what I feel is the Green Day genre over the Green Day sound. I mean, his tom usages, I can't speak here. It's iconic. You know, it's them from many reasons. They're all of their sounds are very, very simple but unique. But yeah, his drumming is really cool. And it really makes you realize how a drummer sculpts the sound of his band or her band. I mean, it's without a doubt, Green Day would not sound anything like them without Trey Cool.
Doing the research and reading some articles specifically with Trey Cool, when he started, he was way too busy. And before he got into Green Day, and we're talking like dude was like 15 or some shit like that. He was little. He was in a band, and someone in the band took away all of his cymbals, including his hi-hats, and they were like, you need to learn to play the drums, and as you play simply, we will start giving you your shit back again. And he credits that to his drumming style because he was able to, focus more. With Green Day, it took him a while to settle in because he was their second drummer. I forget the first guy's name, but it took him a while to figure out where his place was. And he's like, I need to be the driving force and lock in with Mike. And he actually started out with jazz as a jazz drummer. And him and Mike Dirnt both are heavily interested in jazz and play. Now, Mike can't read. Someone gave him a incorrect... Is it a real book, a song book, some shit like that?
Real book.
Yeah. And he's like, I can't read, but I took that and made my own bass lines and used that as a guide. And they actually go and sit in at jazz clubs. And that's where the bass line on Longview came from, was him just sitting down and trying to learn jazz, and that popped out. They're not shallow waters by any stretch.
It's funny you should mention that because I thought about that. I can't remember if it was which of the suites it was where they go into basically like a jazz 3. And I was like, man, but that seems unusual for a pop punk band.
There was quite a few moments of unusual on this album for them, and I mean, it's not the most complex shit, but you can see they were reaching for them. I dig up about it.
Well, hey, is this a good spot to maybe take a little break and hear from our sponsor this week?
Sure. Yeah, we have a new sponsor this week, guys.
Woohoo!
Yay!
It's nice. I think one of the things about this podcast is we're just getting such national recognition that these sponsors come flocking to us. So. Today's episode of the 100 Albums podcast has been made possible by Little Trees Air Fresheners and presenting their newest aroma, White Ice. Anyone who has taken an Uber, cab, or Lyft ride knows the popular Black Ice scent. Well, time to get with the times. Introducing White Ice. White Ice is crisp, cold, unfeeling. White ice smells clean, controlled, emotionally vacant. It smells like authority without context, power without responsibility, a perfectly sanitized version of disruption, and now available at your local gas station. It smells like silence after commands are obeyed, like streets cleared efficiently, like consequences handled off mic, like military cosplay and compliance. Just a full, pungent fragrance designed to help you choke while the things you love quietly disappear. White ice from little trees. Smells better than the real thing.
Well, I have to say that advertiser picked the absolute perfect episode to go along with.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's for sure.
Wow.
That's got some money behind it.
Hey, remember when we were in a band and we had the Mystic Aroma head?
Oh my, that's a
Holy
distant
shit.
memory, man. Wow.
Pull that memory out of the depths of my brain.
Hey, all right. Well, thank you to Little Trees. We appreciate the generous sponsorship of the podcast. Hey, guys, it's time to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So on the re-listen of this album, what's striking you? What's good? What's bad? And is there any ugly?
Oh, fuck yeah, there is, but we're not going to start on the ugly. I'm going to start with the good. American Idiot really reminds me of old Green Day. One of the things I saw was, I think it was Billy Joe Armstrong was like, if we played 2.5, 3-minute punk songs the rest of his life, he was going to get depressed. And so that was another reason of kind of expanding out. But it was still good to see shorter, powerful, more punk songs. American Idiot, fucking St. Jimmy. I love that damn song.
Yeah.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway. Up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights up a silhouette. He's disappointed net. Coming at you on the count of 1, 2.
That's
one of
a
my
banger.
go-tos. Yeah.
You know, when they do that stuff, I freaking love it.
I've got to give it to them. I mean, they stuck to the 3-chord plan. There's a few occasions of 4 chords in here, and a couple that felt one. I can't even remember what track. It felt a little forced, like they were trying to just add some more. But they made a career out of it, and it didn't sound. This is not overly simple sounding, punk quote unquote level simplicity here. They managed. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. They've got nice melodies over this. They've got, but this and they like the same progressions of 3 chords repeatedly throughout their career. You can hear it in another Green Day idiosyncrasy. It's pretty cool. It's to be celebrated, I think.
Yeah.
They're a good extension of the Ramones.
Okay. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, because you're not dealing with a lot of changes in the changes, but all the melodic ideas are super hooky. Yeah, I mean you can tell them. It's not like you're listening to you're trying to identify John Philip Sousa marches. I mean, each one of them is very different. Which, by the way, if you want to know, I've got a trick. If you ever are quizzed on knowing which John Philip Sousa march is which, there's a way to tell them all apart. The title.
Get a drum sample in there, Bert.
Yeah, I'll throw a rim shot in there.
I've got a friend that I've got to throw that joke at. Man, I have to write that down. He loves John Philip Sousa, and I'll see him this weekend.
Well,
goodness.
I'll kind of tack on to some of the stuff that Ron's saying. I too, for the good, Saint Jimmy, great song. And we've kind of already talked a little bit about this. Just the drums in general, all over the album, everything is so clean, so well done. And then you get tracks like the intro to Extraordinary Girl. Which is, I mean, just very interesting percussion choices in general. It's not kind of your, I think to Ryan's point, was talking a few minutes ago, like normally when you think of a punk band, the drummer, it's like, dude, you get one job, hit 2 and 4, like we're good, right? But Trey Cool is not doing that, and they're doing some interesting things with percussion on the album. Extraordinary Girl was kind of the one that jumped out to me. We already actually touched on this. The transition between Holiday and Boulevard, I think, is just this really cool kind of, as a Boulevard of Broken Dreams is starting, I was getting like Pepper Butthole Surfers vibes, like that kind of the guitar things that they're doing there.
Marky got with Sharon, and Sharon got Sharia. She was sharing Sharon's outlook on the topic of disease.
So anyway, that's just a couple of the standout things for me. Before we get into the on the bad side,
On Boulevard, the tremolo,
yeah,
it's a very, very simple thing, and I think it works well on that one. I initially didn't like that song, and the more I listened to it, the more I could appreciate it.
Yeah, there's something about timed tremolo, time delay that it could be overused, but I haven't heard it overused, and it's not here. It's just the only time it appears, and it's nice. I think another sound of the Green Day sound is this widely compressed, very distorted yet clean sounding guitar sound. Very interesting, heavy compression on that. And looking at some of these stems I've been looking at here and there, there's several tracks of guitars. I mean, some 4 or 5 guitar tracks on a total of 8 tracks on a song.
Wow.
And that's how you get that sound. I mean, it's just, you got to double it down or quadruple or quintuple it down. I think a good for me is once I realized what I was listening to, as far as this is a concept album, to put it the least frame of mind, is the story. I did a deep dive on it, but in simplicity, I like the fact that they present a issue that was very timely in 2004, but
Still is.
could be written today without changing almost any lyrics to make it relevant.
Yep.
And in that there's no solution to the problem. The problem, it's very sad how this one ends, and it's sad because of the malaise of it all. I'll save that if we decide to go down that path, but very, very cool story. No grossly ideological statements here politically, other than the struggle within us to want to do something for whatever we feel is right, and yet inability to, or lack of drive enough to, whatever you want to call it, and then life just moves on, and it's sad, but it's well delivered. It's well presented.
Yeah, I think for me, what was really exciting in the good category, we talked about Dookie and where it reached us when we were young, and I think I maybe mistakenly, left them there, like a still shot, almost like this is what Green Day is. And, that was a sillier pop punk, almost like a Nana, stick your tongue at you, which was a lot of fun. I still think those are some good tunes. And this, knowing that they would take, sort of the punk roots and get political with it, I think is really interesting and could have gone terribly wrong. But I think a lot of these songs are great. I think they're great regardless of the political intent. Honestly, I think that's the true secret of this album, I think, is that it works as a concept album and it works as hits.
Yeah.
Which is really difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
And it delivered them. I mean, I had no idea. And we've said it 6 billion times, and we've said it 6 billion. I don't always go straight to the lyric panel when I hear something, but I never knew. I just thought they were all a collection of different songs.
Yeah.
And it aged well too.
One particular oh, sorry, Ron.
Oh, no, that's pretty much it. I mean, they set out to make something timeless, and I mean, clearly it's still relevant 20 years later, unfortunately, so they succeeded on that.
As a non-guitarist to the two guitarists in the group, I actually feel like the playing on the guitar playing and bass playing on this are pretty sharp. Like they feel there's an edge to the not only what they're playing, but the tempi are, like, with the exception of the ballads, seem like they're just a couple clicks faster than you would think they should be, which gives you a kind of like a blood pressure raise. You know what I mean?
I wonder if that's on purpose. That's a great point. That does make you feel like anxious.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he straps his guitar around his knees, so maybe that's a result of having your guitar hanging so low. That's the Billy Joe stance,
I didn't know that.
There was a thing I read with him in Guitar World where he doesn't bend his wrist ever. And so, like, acoustic, electric, anything. So it's kind of like we talked about James Hetfield gets power just with downstrokes.
I was trying to mimic it, and I realized what I look like off camera. I was just thinking
that's what I saw.
Yeah, no, I mean
that sounds incredibly difficult, though.
That's the I mean but I guess that's the punk spirit with playing guitar.
Or that's maybe just that's his thing,
Yeah, I mean, he's got his strap all the way undone. It hangs so low. It's always his look. I mean, he's a little guy, but still, this is and in fact, he has a thing where he pulls a kid out of the audience pretty often at his shows and lets them come up and play guitar. And this, Ron, we referenced it on an episode a while ago where he just got punked. Some kid started playing like Landslide or something instead of his song.
Yeah.
It wasn't Landslide. It was somebody else's song. But anyway, we went to see them. We took our son to see him in like 2005 or something. It must have been on this tour. And they did it then. But when he puts that guitar on the kid, it's like on the floor because it's a little child. And,
It'd
anyway.
be like me wearing Chris Novoselic's bass.
Yeah. It's like 8 feet.
Or any of us.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
no
he's
shit.
like 8 feet tall.
Yeah. I read a thing where Mike Dirnt gives away bases. What did he say? Like lollipops or some shit like that. Like he gave away 20 to the Los Angeles County School. And him and Billy Joe just have like throwaway guitars that they give out. And so they're really all about giving back and doing good thing for kids.
I can't find a single negative thing to say about them as people,
Well, they said, I guess even during the time of this album, they had kids and they were shielding them from all the media because it wouldn't even let them play like the video games that were associated with this kind of violence. And they're like, "This is ridiculous. What are we doing as a culture?"
Yeah.
Trey Cool, like there was actually a lot of stuff about them and kids. Trey Cool had a kid and then got divorced from the mom and got with another chick, had a kid. And in order to raise his second kid properly in his eyes, he was like, yeah, me and mom didn't get along, but they all still lived in the same house and he took care of them. Just the way they look at families and kids, even in the most not normal situation. I mean, stand up fucking people. all around. Just good goddamn people.
I want to. Bert, do you have more good?
No, I'm ready
'Cause
to transition if you are. Yeah.
So for me, it's bad, but it's well, everything we do is personal. So take it with a grain of salt, folks. Billy Joe's voice has never been something I've been into. I don't know how to put it. I realize now in retrospect he probably is sincere, but it feels like acting to me. Like I feel like he's putting on airs, like he's somehow British, which he's not.
That's the first time I ever heard them. I was like, these guys are biting the Sex Pistols. Like they're just trying. But I think you're right, Ryan. I think it is. It's not. It's authentic. It's not something they're putting on. But
or it started that way, and now he's just that way. I mean, whatever it is, but because of that, I find his vocal stylings a little unsettling. Or again, I don't want to doubt the artist's sincerity, but it reads to me more of an act than an expression, which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is probably why it turned into a great musical.
Yeah. For me, speaking of musical, Wake Me Up When September Ends.
Let It Sleep.
It sounds like you could take this out of Green Day's catalog and drop it into Rent on Broadway. I mean, it sounds like a musical song, which is not what I want from a punk musical. Do you know what I mean? That's just me. But there's not a whole lot of bad on here in terms of kind of my musical taste. I don't mind Billy Joe Armstrong's voice. If you can kind of get past that British adjacent kind of snarl that he's got going on. But the other thing that I'll say is that these songs aren't all punk.
No, they're not.
And so if someone, listeners, if you haven't listened to American Idiot by Green Day, it's not a punk album. It's not a punk musical through and through. There are punk songs on here. There are punk elements, and we've talked a lot about that. But there are also songs on here that are just other songs, rock songs, or folk kind of inspired songs. And so, to me, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad, but it's kind of like not what I was expecting, I think. Having, again, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, my vibe was vaguely familiar with this. I knew American Idiot. I knew Holiday. I think I knew Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Like, I knew the songs that I'd heard, as I was walking through the mall or something that was being played at Hot Topic or whatever, right? I never bought this album. This was not on my radar, like you, Ryan, and others that have mentioned it. Like, I checked out after Dookie. Like, Dookie was big when we were like freshmen in college. And it was all over MTV. You could not escape the hits off of Dookie, if you were around MTV or alternative rock radio. And so I was like, oh, I've got my fill of Green Day. I'm good. I don't need to, whatever. And meanwhile, they've had a long career. So all of that to say, if you're expecting a punk album, you might be disappointed. Not to say that the songs are all bad, but they're not all punk.
Yeah, it's a pop album with punk flavoring, right?
There you go.
Yeah, I've really just never considered them a punk band. I mean, but let's be honest, the climate at the time of both Dookie, well, from Dookie through this era, and probably prior to Dookie for all that matters, a lot of people wore Ramones t-shirts and Sex Pistols. People weren't punks. Yeah. And they can, but I'm just saying people weren't punks. The punk lifestyle in majority, whether it was ever really a majority, wasn't happening anyway. It was pretty. I mean, we had the same people listening to this were listening to gangster rap. We're also listening to deep country. I mean, the identity of these things, and so you kind of have to leave the the territory of the hardcore edge of your genre to be able to reach that pop sensibility.
Well, and to your point, that's a great point. And one of the things that I did in prep for tonight's episode was I listened to Rob Harvilla's 60 Songs That Explain the 90s podcast. He did an episode on Basket Case by Green Day. And one of the things that he was talking about was, back to the Gilman, the Bay Area punk scene and where Green Day really kind of came up. Once they signed a contract with a major label, they were ostracized, and people who were their friends were like turning their back on them and that kind of stuff. I don't feel bad for them. They've sold like millions of albums, so they're fine. But if not for them signing with major record label and then becoming what they became, people like us in Pennsylvania would have never heard Green Day, would have never heard Rancid, would have never heard, the third wave ska stuff that all came out of that pop punk kind of scene in the Bay Area.
But as long as we're passing that, though, we could have also avoided things like Blink 182 and Danger, and
you got to take the good with the bad, right?
You get them both, and there you have the facts of life.
And I will say, in defense of Blink 182,
there is none.
It's not often that you'll hear me defend Blink 182, but in their defense, I really like some of the stuff that Travis Barker has done outside of Blink 182.
Dude.
Number
His
one,
shit with
number two, their music videos that sent up all the boy bands and all the pop acts of the time were really good. They were really funny and really cheeky, and I really enjoyed that. Travis. If you don't know Travis Barker's other stuff, check out
his work with Tim Armstrong from Rancid.
Yeah,
holy shit, good stuff. Good stuff. Speaking of
anyway, that's
British
a tangent
accents.
on Blink 182. But you're Ryan. You're absolutely right. For all of the good that things happen, whether we're talking about this or we're talking about gangster rap or we're talking about country or whatever, there's always going to be, when this gets big, it also brings some of these other things along with it that you're like, ooh, I could have done without that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't blame Rage Against the Machine for Korn.
Well, you were talking about,
they're not the same, man. You can't even.
No. Yeah, it's a stretch.
We're talking about Korn, which is new metal, and Rage Against the Machine, which
I'm talking about rap metal, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
The two words that should not go together.
Rage is not NU metal.
But you were talking about pop sensibilities and having to move away from the core of a genre.
Yeah.
Had Nirvana not had pop sensibilities, we wouldn't have fucking Nirvana either.
Yeah.
So did they sell out, or was it just they were really good at writing catchy shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's people that it's jealousy. I swear it's simple. It's either jealousy or because everybody wants to be in that position. If you're going to be a musician and you're putting records out, then you're doing it because you want people to listen to them, and you want to reach the top of that mountain. Otherwise, why are you doing it?
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go and split that one in half here, Drew, because I feel like financial and commercial success versus artistic success don't always happen at the same time. If you're asking me as a musician, would I have loved to have become a famous person and everyone knew my stuff? Yes. At the expense of being Britney Spears? No. Okay.
No, that's not what I guess I was misrepresenting my point.
Because if the whole goal is just to sell a bunch of stuff, then I'm out.
No. I'm saying that people that say people are selling out because they reach success are feeling sour grapes because they did not.
Yeah.
No matter what you view of success is money or fame or whatever. If you're making physical renditions of your music and sharing it, then that's what you want. And
I'll also say too that I think that the notion of selling out was a very 90s, early 2000s concept.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I feel like you don't hear.
Yeah. You're
and
right.
maybe it's because the landscape of music has changed so much. How music can be made. I want to put air quotes around easier. It's easier to make music in the sense of I can record in my own home studio because equipment isn't nearly as expensive as it used to be, and recording, computers have made things a lot more accessible and that kind of stuff. So DIY recording and putting it out on your own is much more possible now. You don't have to go to a studio. You don't have to have a production team, et cetera, et cetera. And so maybe that's had an impact into, I can go ahead and make my own music or whatever. But back then, it was gate kept, I think, by a lot of the record labels and that kind of stuff. And so if you made it, then yes, Drew, I think you're right. There's lots of folks who didn't make it who felt sour grapes.
Well, it was attainable back then.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not attainable anymore. You can't become a rock star on your own.
It may have reached its pinnacle, the idea of selling out in the 90s. But I mean, come on. The Who Sell Out was what, 1967?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So let's not make it. It's not a.
I meant like the pejorative of they've sold out, like that whole conversation. I mean, I wasn't having those conversations in the 70s, obviously, but
Well, you weren't alive.
I mean, no, not yeah.
Real big fish prophesied all of this sellout.
Yes, they did.
That's true.
In the 90s, anyway.
Radio plays what they want you to hear. Tell me it's cool. I just don't believe it. Sell out with me, oh yeah. Sell out with me tonight. The record company's only give me lots of money and everything's gonna be alright.
Sell out with me, oh yeah. Other bad or ugly that you guys have? Is there a song that you would remove from this album to make it better? It'd be kind of difficult to do given it's a concept.
Well, I mean, I know that you were leaning towards removing "Wake Me Up," but I feel like in the flow of the album, I think it makes sense there. I don't know what you guys looked at in terms of the official track listing, but on its debut, it was a 2-record album. And so that track, Wake Me Up, is the end of the first side of record 2. So it does have like a kind of coda, and then it starts off with Homecoming, which I think really does work in terms of programming. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I could probably remove one from here. I mean, there's songs that I like better than another, but I think it works as a whole. I think it works.
I'd really toy with taking off "Wake Me." I agree with your point, but I really just don't like that fucking song.
Yeah,
it would be an absolute skip.
Yeah.
Is it that it's a bad song, or is it that it's so saturated now into our ears because it's so overplayed?
And you're probably right, but I can't take it back.
Sure.
Oversaturatedness, so it's just kind of like, at this point, fuck that.
Because I feel like if that were a Tom Waits song. Here we go with another Tom Waits reference. It could be pretty damn good.
It would be. Well, I mean, given its content, But I struggled to find that song's place in the storyline. It was the hardest one to give a pivotal moment to the story.
To kind of connect to the theme. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course it comes up as, written by his dad who died in September. And so he was just saying, get me through September, which it's kind of that spot in this story. It's getting towards the end. He's met the girl. He's been realized that she's moving on from this big act of rebellion. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He kind of screwed up his chance to be a rebel or didn't do it or whatever else. And he's like, oh man, what have I done? Where have I done with myself? What's next? He's been disillusioned this whole time. And so in a way, it's like just saying like, tell me when it's over, that kind of thing. So it does fit in the storyline. Not to say it's an awesome song and not to say that Ron's not wrong, because I do. It's hard listening to this now, knowing all of those songs so well, those 3 songs.
Yeah, it is.
With an open mind. They would probably jump out to you as the best songs because they are the most songy of the songs. And so, but still, you wouldn't have known them as the hits that they were.
That's a tiddlywink wheel, right?
You know, I found in the lyrics of "She's a Rebel," one of the lines says, "She's holding on my heart like a hand grenade," and thus begat the drawing on the front cover. Of the song.
I didn't include. There's a bunch of stuff out there about the album art and the whole aesthetic around the tour that they went on with this album. How it was all very intentional. The graphic artists that they use, they said, "Hey, make it look like it's political propaganda and stuff." It's really interesting.
I think that's another thing that you have to. There, when they say they were inspired by, this here, I would relate that much more to The Wall than Quadrophenia as far as imagery goes, and so not what Pink Floyd did, but not to copy what they did, but the what did they do surrounding this? How did they? And that's a great. I mean, they had the hammers crossing as the logo from The Wall. That's so strong of the propaganda, and so now we have this hand grenade in the heart. I remember when we saw them, that was up on the stage. I wish I had known anything about the album when we saw them. It would have been interesting to see how they did it on stage, but they probably just played "Wake Me Up When September Ends" over and over again.
That's a long concert.
My Chemical Romance opened for them. That was my first seeing of and hearing of that band.
Was that Black Parade?
Yeah, surrounding that time.
Is that the one that's got teenagers on it?
I don't know.
They had teenagers attending it.
Yeah, there was a lot of teenagers at that.
All right. Do you guys own this album? Does anyone own this album?
I do not.
I own other Green Day, but not this one.
Ryan, Drew, do you guys own other Green Day?
Yeah, I've got Dookie on CD somewhere.
Same.
Same.
I got Kerplunk on vinyl.
Nice. Oh, I have Kerplunk, I think, somewhere.
Nice. All right, results and ratings time. Ron, scale of 1 to 10, where are you on American Idiot by Green Day?
Well, I can't give it a 6. I'm going to give it a 6.5 because if I run across a copy of this that's like a pre-owned on sale, I'm absolutely going to pick it up.
All
Nice.
Right. Nice. I gave it a 6. Drew gave it a 5.5, and Ryan gave it a 5. Average score was a 5.5, which brings American Idiot to number 60 out of 100 albums, which is kind of odd because this is album number 59 as we're listening to them. So, second chances, Ryan, Drew, would you guys change your score?
I would, yeah. I'm kind of in Ron's boat where if I found a used copy, I might add it to the collection. I don't know how often it would get played is the thing, but I did enjoy listening to it a lot more than when we first voted on it. So I feel like my score should reflect that. I just don't know to what level. So I'm going to take it up to a 6.
Drew, how about you?
I'm going to give it a full second point to 6.5 because I am a sucker for the rock opera concept album, and knowing that, I just have to give it way more credit for artistic, even attempt. I learned a lot about this album.
Yeah, it is bold. I'm good where I am at a 6. I feel like that's a fair score for me. So that actually increased the average a little bit, guys. So interesting to see how it all shapes.
Because they didn't just make up and say this is about whatever. They told the story. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
So did that raise it to 59? So there's full coincidence?
I don't know yet because we haven't rescored all of the albums. That's the problem. I can only tell you this season, which is a bummer. But okay, now it's time. Shall we go to Margaritaville, fellas?
Absolutely.
If this album, American Idiot or Green Day in general, had a restaurant or chain of restaurants, a la Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, what would it be called, and what would the theme be?
Ron,
I've got 4, but 3 of them are all the same type of restaurants. So it'll be interesting.
Oh my God. I struggled so hard on this album and legit got one. All right. So my restaurant, you go in and you order like an animal, like a chicken or a rack of ribs, or you just, you're going to get a big chunk. And you don't get utensils. They just put the animal down in front of you, and it's called Tales of Another Broken Bone.
Oh, man. Especially if it's butt. Yeah. Tails.
Tails. I like it.
Well, I got a couple here. Let's see. I've got a fish entree restaurant focusing on lesser eaten parts of the fish called Extraordinary Gill. I've got a restaurant that is split in the half. You enter the same door, but you order from two different chefs, even though it's the same name. And it's either a wild game restaurant or a raw vegetarian restaurant, and it's called She's a Rabbit. And then we've got a restaurant that serves you slightly turned or potentially cross-contaminated salads, guaranteed to create bowel movements, and that's called Lettuce Bomb. And then lastly, an outdoor bowling alley with an extended Scotch list, and that's Bowling Yard of Broken Drams.
Wow.
Oh, damn.
That's good. That's a thinker.
Yeah, no
That's
shit.
good. I like it. Okay. First one is my throwaway, and it's called "Are We the Waiting?" ellipses for a table, and it's just a really popular restaurant where you're waiting for a table all the time.
One of those.
The next three then are all frozen confection establishments, so a creamery or an ice cream shop or whatever. The first is called Boulevard of Frozen Creams.
Nice.
The second one is called St. Jimmy's.
Oh,
Nice.
And the third is called Extraordinary Swirl.
hey! I bet all those are available through Uber Eats as well. So.
Yeah, you're probably right. How about you, Drew?
I have none, as is my trend lately. Couldn't even come up with a last-minute arrival.
I was really trying to work one, make a restaurant called Homecoming that involved Ryan's Outback experience.
Well, the first movement of Homecoming is subtitled "The Death of St. Jimmy," and I thought about doing something about the death of St. Jimmy John's. But, but I figured since you guys didn't have all those titles, it wasn't fair.
All right. Closing thoughts, additional takes, or shit we forgot. Anybody got a hot take about this album, this artist, or other closing thoughts?
I think it's pretty messed up that 20 years later you can have a point made that holds such relevancy. I don't know what that means about us. Is it mean that this is our story, literally? But I'll leave you with that thought.
Yeah, kind of takes me back to the Marvin Gaye episode,
Yeah. I was just thinking.
and that's more than 20 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, we don't learn from history.
We don't learn from history.
No, we don't.
Some of us don't.
Well, and here's the thing, folks. That's what listening to this podcast is going to help you with. We're gonna help you
Gotta help you learn.
the history of these albums, and then you can repeat the same problems.
All right. Well, now, folks, please go out and listen to American Idiot by Green Day and let us know what you think. Hit us up with a voice message at speakpipe.com/100albums. Please, we beg you. We want to hear your voice for a change. Email us at 100albums@bertoslow.com. You can connect with us on Instagram or Facebook at 100albums podcast, or visit 100albumspodcast.com, the website where all of this stuff hangs out.
And we do listen. So if you listened to our Pearl Jam episode, I'd like to come up with a quick apology to everyone that listened to that. I had been listening to watching a lot of Portlandia, and I mentioned that was the Portland, Oregon grunge scene
Several times.
several times. I'm well aware that it was in Seattle, Washington, and I apologize for the error of my brain.
Well, none of us caught it, so
Oh, well, how many emails did you get, dude?
70,000. But I know what you're thinking. 70,000? That's such an even number.
it's a good thing the email.
That's a second Mitch Hedberg
Counts it
reference
for
in
you.
this episode. Love it. 100albumspodcast.com is the website. Please hit us up. We'd love to hear from you, and maybe even feature your words on a future episode. Please join us next week as we chat about Eva Cassidy's album Songbird. A little bit of a different vibe, I would imagine. I don't remember this album at all. So.
I would imagine.
I'm just I'm just shot in the dark here, guys. So until then, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
See ya.
Later, turkeys.
Ava Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. All right.
I don't feel so bad that I'm not the only one who doesn't remember this fucking album.
Well, I was telling when Ryan and I first got on, it's just like Frank Ocean. Like I have zero memory of the Songbird. So
Nope.
it is an assumption that it's a different vibe than Green Day. I think
Quite.
that's
I think that's a pretty safe one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Songbird versus American Idiot. I think if you were shopping in the store, you'd be like, probably different.
Yeah.
a little bit.
I feel like I'm whitening. This lighting is, jeez, man.
Hey, well, your dentist would approve.
Oh, my teeth are bad. Whitening the beard is going well, though.
So, are you actually actively whitening the beard, or is it?
No, but
okay.
sitting here like without the details because it's not not in life. That looks pretty.
Yeah, but you and I both have the colored mustache on this cam.
It's the the last vestiges of color.
I look like I just finished a cup of hot cocoa.
Yeah.
I just dipped this part in. Like, hello, what?
It's the opposite of a milk mustache.
A chocolate milk mustache. Where we discuss the ins, the outs, and the absurdities of a poster that depicts 100 seemingly random albums. Hey, guys.
Yo.
Hey,
Do you have the time to listen to us whine about nothing and everything on this pod?
Okay. Hey, well, first of all, great impression.
yeah.
Actually, I was gonna really go full tilt and try to do the full Billy Joe Armstrong, but I held back a little bit.
I think, and I love that you chose intentionally a track
song
not
that's
from this
not on
album.
this album?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Hey, I tried to go through this album and I looked for good lyrics, and it was like nothing was really. I wasn't feeling it, but this one,
Oh, can I get another amen? Let's move on.
So here we are at album number. All right, fellas, it is about that time. It's time to go to Margaritaville. I'm super excited to hear.
Whoa.
Wait, what?
No, it is not.
Oh no, I forgot results and ratings. Damn it! I skipped ahead.
I was wondering, you
My
moved too
fault.
fast, dude.
My fault. Okay, results and ratings time.
What would you do? What would you do without
So
us?
here's where my heart is full right now, because all of you were like, "No, it's not. You're not. That's not what we normally do right now."
See,
So we've
Bert,
been
you've trained
We've
us.
been through this enough. I whipped you guys into shit.
That's what it is. It is.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Are you bullying us into this? What aroma are you wearing right now? Do I detect white
A
ice?
little bit of white ice.